As the story begins, we see a masked man standing on the cliff, fighting several monsters. As soon as they jumped towards him, he smashed them down with just a single blow. That man possesses exceptional strength, but is still unsatisfied and wants more. After that, we see a man driving a carriage suddenly getting attacked by the same monsters. Just when one of the monsters was trying to attack him, a group of warriors came in time, and that man was gladly saved. The female warrior shot several monsters with an arrow, and the guy with the sword executed them with just a hit. Also, the giant man cuts them into pieces, and they kill all the monsters. We then see an overview of a kingdom where a man was guarding the gates of castle. The group we saw earlier was passing from there and saying that they finally defeated a level 6 goblin. Fate thinks that he will never be able to go goblin hunting because of the useless gluttony skill he possesses, and his stomach, which never stops growling. Sometime later, we see all of them in the market, and the holy knights make their way through the market, but a shopkeeper accidentally drops some food in one of their ways. He begged him for mercy, but the knight didn't listen, and they told him that anyone who messes with the holy knights will have their heads cut off. But the warriors from earlier looked furious. The knights came back to the castle, where Fate was guarding the gates for them. Raphael threw the money at him, and as he sat down to pick it up, he ordered Hado to beat him. As Fate's stomach always growls, Raphael says that everyone will think that we don't pay you enough money to buy yourself a meal. Mimel tells him that a guy like you with such a useless skill should be grateful to them that they are helping him earn a livelihood. Just then another female knight appears, who was Lady Roxy. She asks them to stop abusing him, as it's holy knight duty to guard the gates. Raphael replies that it's also the duty of holy knights to provide employment to the have-nots. After that, they all left. Lady Roxy came forward to help Fate and asked him if he was all right. Fate gets amazed by her kindness but also fears Raphael, so he doesn't say anything. Roxy cleaned the blood from his face, and he thanked her. She told him that we are the same when it comes to guard the gates, and now it's my time to take over the job. If anything like that happens again, you should inform me. But he told her that he was used to this, so she shouldn't be bothered by it. It's nighttime now. Fate was sitting in a restaurant thinking about how different Lady Roxy is from the knights of the Vlerick family. He starts eating his food, and the man asks him, "Did you get knocked up again?" The Vlerick siblings are ruthless, and if this continues, you will end up like the last guy. Fate was not much concerned about that and left. He was wandering in the streets, wishing that even if he could have also been born with some worthwhile skills, he wouldn't have had to face such insults. But right then, he saw some thieves entering the castle, and he rushed to Roxy, who was guarding the gates. She asked him to continue her duty at the gates as she went inside to catch them. After some time, when Fate was at the entrance, he saw one of those intruders running from there. He got scared and was about to run, but he remembered that Lady Roxy had entrusted him with this duty, so he couldn't just leave. He pointed out the end of the spear towards the intruder and killed him. Suddenly, his gluttony skills got activated and his stats got increased. He was surprised, as he had no idea what that was. Roxy came outside and asked Fate whether he was fine or not. He told her that he was all right, but he got shocked as he could listen to her inner voice. She told him that she needed to report it to her superiors and asked Fate if he understood. He told her that she could take the credit for all of this, because if Raphael finds out, it will cause problems for him. Roxy asks him if he would like to work for the Hart family, or if he intends to serve Vlericks until they kill him. He thinks about it for a while, and decides that it's better to work for someone like Lady Roxy than for those who treat him like trash, so he accepts her offer. He comes back to his home and sees that his stats were tripled, and he also earned 2 skills, Identify and Telepathy. He had no idea about what was going on inside his body. The next morning, he came to the market to purchase a sword. The shopkeeper welcomes him, but after knowing that he is poor, he tells him that with this much money, you can only afford those used, rusty swords. He thought it's better to at least have something than to have nothing, and he starts choosing the swords because of his skill to identify them. He picked up a black sword that was filthy and treated like trash, just like him. But surprisingly, the sword could talk to him. It said, "I will make it worth your while, so just buy me, Gluttony. You and I have a lot in common." So he finally decides to purchase it. On the other side, we see Mimel telling Raphael that Roxy is trying to hire Fate for the Hart household without even asking us. Raphael replies that there is no shortage of replacements for Fate. She asks him what he is studying these days, and he says the study of how to become immortal. She thinks he is just bluffing and asks him to stop teasing her. Fate was strolling in the fields talking to his sword, and it told him to be careful as there was a goblin's attack. As soon as he jumped forward to attack him, Fate struck him down with his sword. There were more goblins that he had to fight. All of them approached him, but Fate killed every single one of them with the help of his sword, and each time he kills a goblin, his skills get updated and his stats get increased. After that, his sword asked him that you probably be filled up by now, and he replied that yeah, my stomach hasn't growled for once since the morning. Fate asks his sword that the only skills you have are the ones you are born with. It replies that you should thank the gluttony skill for it. It steals stats and skills at the cost of not benefiting from experience. That's why he is at level 1. That same group of warriors was coming there, so the sword asked him to hide all the goblins' bodies, as he shouldn't reveal his skills to anyone because it defies the divine law. It also asked him to take their ears so that they could earn money from them. Fate earned some silver and bronze coins after selling them, so he wants to have meat for his lunch, but his sword tells him that its maintenance comes first. But just then, he accidentally bumps into someone, and a girl with that guy puts a hand on Fate, and he listens to her inner voice, asking for his help. He tries to identify that guy's stats, but because of his conceal skill, he can't get a clear picture of his stats. But Fate still wanted to help that girl, so he went after them. That guy has kept the girl as a hostage to present her as a gift for the Holy Knights. The sword tells Fate that the guy seems pretty powerful, and this is your last chance to run. But he replies that he has finally got some power, so he can't just ignore someone suffering and fight for them.